Hello, everyone. Welcome to the JT Music Podcast number 13.
Whichever way.
The titular, I don't know what the right word is. Skull Crunchers 13, episode 13.
The
Welcome.
titular episode of
Yeah.
the only titular episode of our podcast.
Yep.
But yeah, today you might notice a little green hue.
Yeah.
That's because we were just messing with our new studio lights. You guys know how we have these cool Titan tubes that kind of illuminate our face. They're just the tube looking things. We have, as we've probably talked about a lot, our studio is pretty much almost done. We've got some professional lights set up that we just got a crash course on how to, we have a console that we can control it all from here. It's just really cool stuff. We're going to be able to create a lot of cool sets in here, shoot some cool music videos. It's really exciting.
Yeah. Can change all sorts of different colors, program them. It's going to be quite the learning curve. But yeah, like you said, the training week, it was like 3.5 hours of just learning this software.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I feel like it's software that's existed for a long time within the theater industry. And I was like, dang, this could be super simplified. Like, I don't know. Like it's like all programming and stuff. And I'm sure someone who knows how to run it well can run it really well and do things fast. But it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's certain things that can just be like, when I push this hotkey, it'll be blue lights. And then if I push this one, it'll turn to like the different look when I want it to. But no, it's got to be like super programmed. It's interesting.
It's not very user friendly yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I thought that too.
I feel like it like grew and it only grew within like an echo chamber or like within a trench. Like it didn't look up and take a second to realize simplifying it, what that would look like. But anyways, we learned the new software. The studio's coming along. We got our basic lights that we kind of key on us, but now we have these nice green lights, and well, they can be anything. That's the cool thing. Any color. So we'll have fun, mess around with it. We have the flats being made next week, which are just kind of fake walls, which we can kind of make look. We can dress them up as whatever. They'll be the Doom set. So maybe the next few podcasts from after that point, when we have the Doom thing built out, we'll just be in Doom set.
We're gonna be on a Doom set.
Why not? And then
the podcast is going to hell.
Yep. And then we got speakers we're gonna get so that it's easy to have those on when performing and doing the music video. And they're actually going to be kind of staggered in a good way where they're behind you. Because like before we'd have like a Bluetooth speaker on our music videos, and it's usually with the director, and it's coming from the the director's usually behind it too.
Yeah.
And you can't hear the direction. And so it's pretty disorienting actually. So I think having it in here, everyone's in here with it, should kind of distribute the sound and help the direction cut through the music, but also you can hear the music well.
Which is really important for when you're lip syncing, when you're performing. Even if you're not lip syncing, when you're in a music video, you want to be able to, if you're jiving to the music, dancing, like you want to, even though we're not recording actual sound in the music video, you want the space to feel fun to perform in. So I'm really excited to do some music videos in here. Have the music just blasting and really getting into character. It's going to be an awesome space.
Do the NPC rehearsal in here too with the speakers and lights.
Yep. We'll
Should
have
be a pretty
all the
fun
nerdcore fam in here, dude. That's gonna be surreal.
Be interesting.
It's gonna be cool. But hey, that's a good segue for what we're talking about today.
Yeah, we're talking about film school and then our music video productions that we've done. Anything that we can think of from them. We've done like over 25 of them. So there's plenty to talk about. But if you guys remember, in the first few episodes, we talked about our childhood and upbringing and all this different stuff and how we liked creating like different videos and skits and music videos.
Even before that, it was drawing. It was Legos. We started writing and creating our own worlds, just like young Tolkien and Martins. That was my...
So there's definitely an itch to create, and then the channel took off, and it's like, oh, dang, like... If I'm doing well right now with this YouTube thing, maybe what if I went to film school? I could be the next director or blah, blah, blah. And it's not even our unique path. Like that was just my logic. But they're like everyone who goes to film school is probably having these aspirations. Dude, they have the secret sauce. They're going to figure it out.
It's staggering specifically because like we were going to talk about when you go to film school, really any career path you take, you go to college and you realize how not alone you are with similar mindsets, similar people thinking, and also the big fish in the small pond effect that like, sure, you might be in your hometown and be really good at math or really good at making movies and skits with your friends. So you think you're going to be the next Steven Spielberg or whatever, the next great architect, and then you get to college and you just get woken up with, oh, I'm nowhere near the best at this, which can be a healthy and weird, disheartening realization. But
there's also an element of like, can you adult? And I hate the expression adulting, but like what happens when you're on your own? Are you going to just eat candy every day and stay up late or
and
party,
drink and party all the time. Like that's probably the biggest learning curve in college. It isn't like learning your career path, because as we'll talk about today, a lot of people go to college or end up following a career that has nothing to do with what they went to college for, which is totally fine. And anybody who's looking in to go to college, don't necessarily prepare for that, but be okay with that if that happens. You never know where your career's going to take you. But what was I going to say going off what you just said?
The adulting?
The adulting, yeah, that's probably, and we're obviously, take everything we say with a grain of salt. This is just our experience with
sample
college
size of one.
School.
Well,
but dude, learning how to adult in those years of college is probably the most you actually learn in college. Like, obviously you learn how to do your career stuff, but you're learning how to like do basic adulting shit. That's really
and it could be something as simple as laundry. For sometimes a lot of people can be the first time they're doing laundry, or it's oh man, I have my car, how do I get it registered? Like all these different little things pop up.
Yeah,
and a lot of people just go back home. Who live close enough, which is unfortunate, and I always hardcore judge them.
Oh yeah,
because it's like and then the parents who would welcome that, like I get like the empty nester, like they're just happy to have them home, but like oh my god, have your kid like out there and fucking learn. Because I was one of those kids who had to figure out the simple stuff, and like I think it did so much for my growth and like not my anxiety, but like kind of just doing it, or figuring it out, and
having to do it,
instead of like literally running home to mommy, like and I could have, in a sense. I wasn't far enough away, but like that just to me didn't make sense. Like I'm going to college, I'm growing up, life is changing, and so there's a lot of interesting people who so it's always interesting to see a lot of people who hang on to the glory years of high school or to the comfort of home, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just like, I mean, the bottom line is you got to grow up, and I think that's a lot of thing. That to me was like, as a generic college thing, something I saw a lot of, and definitely can stunt your growth, because you're literally stunting your growth. So it's like, I don't know.
Well, dude, the funniest thing to me is I think most of the people who have that trouble are the people who are the most sheltered, the people who are the most like, you can't drink, you can't party. Like, not saying they're all coming from like strict like religious households, but in my experience, seeing those people who come from like this super strict household are the ones who don't have that adulting discipline when they get to college. They just go ham, and that's like a normal thing to do. I'm not saying that like everybody who does that in college burns bridges and ruins their life. No, that happens to a lot of people, and they figure out the adulting ropes a little bit slower than everybody else. It's just funny to see how like, and then we get into the debate of nature versus nurture, how different forms of parenting might affect how some people
we're not here to criticize parenting, especially parenting of teenagers and up. Like, I don't know.
Again, just speaking about our experience, it's definitely funny to see like friends specifically who came from houses like that, who then go to college and become like animals, and it's just funny. Sometimes the opposite happens. But yeah, film school.
But specific, film school.
Film school specifically, because we both have experience.
We went with the aspirations of being the next big thing. You want to be an editor.
Yeah.
I think I wanted to also be an editor. I liked writing. I wanted to maybe be a writer. He went to Ithaca. I went to UNC Wilmington, their film program. And just a spoiler alert, film school is largely a scam, as a lot of different majors and disciplines are. These were good film schools too. Like, it's just there's a lot of things to get into, and that's what we'll cover over the next, I don't know, however many 45 minutes. It could be a half hour, and then we can go into music videos later. But yeah, it's just there's so many things I can list off, but maybe I think, and it's not all professors, but I think a lot of professors are using this as their LARPing session. A lot of my production classes were just kind of weird. Extensions of the teacher kind of using the assets and tools that they had at the school
to kind of play director a
LARPing
little bit.
Director a lot. It was and like they're really good teachers. I liked them as people, but it was a very weird touch, and I didn't like it. I don't know if you had experience with that.
Yeah, I think because I agree. Also, I feel like ultimately film school was kind of a scam. I agree, and I have told people this. It does sound pretty hot take, but the reason I say that, I will also concede first off that I've talked a lot about how like I was a huge introvert in college. I wish I had gotten out more. I honestly wish I had partied more. And that's speaking as a recovering alcoholic. I didn't have a problem drinking in college. Not saying I should have gone off and done crazy drugs and stuff, but I'm saying I should have gone out and socialized more. As I've talked about, I would just kind of a lot of the time hole myself up and just work on music, which I don't regret, obviously, but I do wish I had put myself out there, not just socially, but in terms of my classes and like trying harder to get internships. So I know that some of that is on me for my experience in college. That's all I'm saying. That being said, I do feel like for me, they
It's also not job training. It's like a weird like you have the film theory type, which is like liking to hear themselves talk.
Yes.
And then you have the production type, which are LARPing directing.
Yeah.
And then there's a weird favoritism of students because I think there's a weird ego thing going on too, and like maybe want to shoot. It's just there's a lot of weird ego in the film school ecosystem.
The professors wanted to work with the kids who were the popular, who were making the good films. The professors cared more about them.
So then they could put their mark or direct those kids. And anyone else was kind of like cast aside. And I was like one of those people who's cast aside or put in groups that were cast aside where there wasn't this. You could tell like the teachers sometimes would fucking just build all-star lineups.
Yes,
of who they viewed as all-star lineups, and that was the film that they cared about, and the rest. And they still were kind of present teachers, but it was just like, I mean, it's fucking obvious what's going on here.
Yeah, so that's why I had a very similar experience, and I'm sure there's similar experiences across the board with different professions, no matter what you go to school for. But for us specifically, that was really frustrating. And again, I concede that part of that happened, for me at least, that I wish I had been a little bit more proactive, but that's only the tip of the iceberg as to why that happened. There was a lot of favoritism, clickiness, which, hey, just happens. But to me, it felt like, and here's where the whole scamminess comes into play for me, is that, if that happens to you when you're going to school to be a doctor or a lawyer, you still have to go to school to become a doctor or a lawyer. With the arts, you don't. No. And that is not up for debate. I'm sorry. That is an objective fact. You don't have to. Certainly, it can help you get your foot in the door. It can help you get connections if you go to college for whatever your a creative passion specifically. But you can also, I couldn't go knock on some lawyer's door in downtown Raleigh and be like, hey, I'm really good at arguing. You should make me your lawyer. I've never passed the bar exam, but you should make me your lawyer. Never gonna fucking happen.
Yeah,
that can happen on a film set.
Yeah.
You can work your way up to being a PA and then work your way, like, you don't need the accolades. You don't need the education. People ask me where I went to school for music. YouTube, google.com. That's where I went to school for music. So with the creative arts, like that is the biggest reason, or part of the reason, coupled with how our experience in film school, how there was clickiness, that even the professors played favorites. That's why, to sum it all up, it feels like a scam to me.
And it wasn't job training. It was it's just a weird, useless thing. Yeah. And that's not to say there aren't good art schools or good film schools. Like if you go to USC, pretty good there.
Then
NYU,
you're pretty much guaranteed.
If you want to be a film critic or theorist, you go to NYU.
You're
pretty
set
good there.
For life.
If you want to go to if you want to be an artist, you go to RISD or like these things exist, and like it does matter. But otherwise, it doesn't matter where you go to film school or art school, and then also maybe it doesn't matter until if you go to art or film school.
Yeah.
But it's not to say there's still so many variables at play. Like it's not like, I could go and get a 4-year head start and work film, like, no, you still got to know what you're going to do. And you still have to have that work ethic and that like level of maturity that is required to be on a film set, and that kind of reliability there, and just the general knowledge and experience. But I don't know. It's a weird thing. And
it feels predatory sometimes. Here's the other thing I was going to add on to why film school felt predatory to me, is because there was this air with the entire staff that like you guys, like they didn't say this specifically. I'm not going to put words in Ithaca College's mouth because I loved Ithaca College. I love Ithaca. It was still a great school, but there was this air. The way they treated us, like you guys, they even did specifically say like, oh, the Ithaca College alumni network is so expansive. You pretty much only have to, like, you just say that you went to Ithaca. You're going to find people who also went to Ithaca in the film industry, no matter what kind of entertainment. There will be people from Ithaca. So they kind of bred this idea that like, I have these accolades, like I'm going to be the next Francis Ford Coppola. Again, they didn't say that specifically, but there was this air, this culture. There was a culture of like, you guys are here and you're going to make it someday. Which of course was just kind of gassing us all up.
And that's not to say there aren't successful people that we graduated with or that come from our schools. Like, it definitely helped them.
Yeah.
And I think it helped me to an extent. But there's a recognizing around like, a lot of this is bullshit, you know? No. But it's not to say it didn't help. Like, there's things I learned in film school. It was a lot of exposure to real set stuff, you know? And then for me, again, a whole different kind of side thing is like, I still think you should go to art school if you want to be an artist or like that's truly your passion. I'm not like, do it. It's not like but also do something else. Like maybe education, so you become some kind of art teacher or like some kind of art administrator type, art and history, art and business, art in, I don't know, music. Maybe combine your musical education. I mean, your artistic education.
School,
yeah.
Like you did.
And that's what I did. I did business and film school, but I think I was about halfway through my sophomore year and I was like, this is cool. I love doing this. I know I want to work and be creative with film, but I was like, this feels dumb. Like my dad always said, do it, but double, and I never did. But then it just hit me. I was like, I need to double up. I need to double major. And it was, I don't know. It like there's an understanding of the film industry itself and what that entails. You know, it's a slow rising thing. You know, unless you're an entrepreneur and you start your own kind of production company or, you know, whatever, you know, it's a slow grind. It's like, it is a tough industry to get into. It's like work 5 years at like the lowest level to then get to the next level, work there 10 years, then the next level 10 years. And it's super slow rising. And it's all networking. Like
it's so
like
much
Steven Spielberg, for example, uses the same DP, like, and all these different things. So like, it's also very social and like relying on your ability as a people person and not being an asshole, being reliable, like being good. And like, there's like kind of and that's like with any job, but like with film, you're like your own company, even if you're employed other places, like you are everything. Yeah. And again, this rings true with a lot of other things, but there's just like a weird, like kind of lack of forgiveness I feel with it. And like, you know, if you're not good enough, then we're pulling in the next guy, you know, and if they're not, like, it's just like, it's kind of very cutthroaty.
And like you said, you've got to be easy to get along with because you hear about actors and directors who are assholes, who have terrible reputations. They are the rare peak of the top who are so good at what they're doing that they can be an asshole. So like if you walk onto a set with this same, because another thing we can get into are some of the absolute cockholes you run into in general, but specifically film school. Like, and the worst ones, just like I was just talking about, the worst ones are the ones that can't back it up. At least with the ones who are making really good student films, then you're kind of like, oh, okay, I get it why Stevie is an asshole. And that's a random name. That is not anyone specific. I get why Stevie's an asshole because he's making the best films. I still hate him, but at least he's doing it versus flippin' Tyler, who acts like an asshole, but his films are garbage.
Before we get into the annoying fellow students, one thing about the scammy thing is I think ultimately for my little thesis statement on why maybe something of a scam is that it's not job training, at least in my experience and your experience.
Yes.
At least our two schools who are considered good film schools, it wasn't job training. It was dumb, you know,
learning
the
techniques, learning like
it's
learning
like, and the production stuff. It just didn't like you thought they made that would be more job training, and it's way more than reading a book or reading a film theory or whatever. But it's like it just didn't do it. It just there wasn't enough autonomy. There wasn't enough room for failure or growth, experimentation. It's like, aren't we like? I don't know that my old film school program has since fixed it, and they have tracks so you can just focus on production instead of being forced to balance theory and production.
Dude, when I was in the screenwriting class, I was like, I know I'm not going to do this. Why am I being forced to do this? And I get, like, they've got to make sure you don't. But like, with college, I get that in high school, because in high school, you're learning basic fundamentals of everything. When you're in college, you've already kind of chosen what you want to do. Like, I didn't want to do frickin' screenwriting, but they forced me to do an entire, like, semester. But
I mean,
anyways,
that fits more than having to do a class on just any film theory. I had to, like, half my hours had to be film theory, so I had to take, like, I took like a Bollywood class, like a spectacle class, like on spectacle films, like action movies. I'm blanking. Just like independent film, experimental film, theory, like theory about these things, and it was like it exposed me to different artists. I mean, filmmakers or whatever, and concepts like fucking Dr. Caligari, but like. I don't know. Anyways, all that to say is that in Wilmington, you have UNCW where I went to, like the 4-year degree film school, cool, like probably more prestigious than you think, the community college in town. But the community college was a 2-year program, job training on how to be on a film set, how to do different things on a set, whatever job it was, lighting, camera, whatever.
Like,
and
teaching
like
you
those
how
people,
to operate.
they got out in the industry 2 years before all the students from my school. And they had better training, and they were often looked upon better than people from UNCW. So, like, you have this, like, community college, super focused, way more affordable, all these different things, and then you have this 4-year college place, and it's, like, charging up the yin-yang, and, like,
that is
it's washing you through.
That's exactly why I totally agree. I didn't have a community college to necessarily contrast with Ithaca, but that exactly explains why it felt maybe they're the same thing. I was going to say maybe I should use the term predatory instead of scam, but they're the same thing. Like, it felt like the at its bare bones, what we needed to know to go out into the industry could have been a 1 or 2 year program.
I also don't want to sound like Gary Vee and be misunderstood for, like, Gary Vee, like, oh, you don't need to go to school, it's hard work, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I think as an 18 to 22-year-old, as long as you're focused, not wasting your time there and your parents' money or your loan or whatever it is, like, if you're being useful, even if the degree isn't what you end up doing, I don't know, just the fact, like, there's so much growth that can happen with, like, it's kind of a training wheel scenario for growing. Yeah. And if you're fortunate enough to be in that situation, I think you should. Or at least should try. Yeah. Or use alternative methods like community college for 2 years, and then get into a really nice school for your junior and senior year when stuff matters, or different things like that. Like, there's different ways to balance that. I do think you should, like, I think people should go to college or seek higher education or something to get through those 4 years, because those are really interesting years
of growth, and being at college where you are independent, but you're also kind of not. You're still going to school and stuff. It really is such a good transitionary period to start learning how to adult, as we keep saying. But I do also want to add to this, even though I keep saying take it with a grain of salt, is like, if you've gotten into a really good program for the arts or whatever, that's awesome. I'm super happy for you. I don't want it to sound like I'm saying, no, all art school is a scam. No. All I'm trying to say, again, coming from myself and learning from my own mistakes, is when you go to school for whatever it is you're going for, make the most of it, especially if, for instance, you got into Ithaca College, you got into the Roy H. Park School for Film, and you're listening to this podcast right now. First of all, fuck yeah, I'm proud of you. But make the most of it. Don't be an introvert hermit like I was. Make the most of it. Really, that goes for anything you're going to school for. Yeah, make the most of it. Put yourself out there. You're at college. It's a new place. You can reinvent yourself. Call yourself Voldemort. I know you've been wanting to call yourself Voldemort for years. Go to college. Tell everyone your name's Voldemort. Put yourself out there.
Yeah. So I fortunately, I didn't mix and mingle with my film students as much as I should have, but it's also because I didn't like them genuinely. But like also, I was able to apply my my things, business school, film school, day to day with JT. Fortunate with me, where you were doing filming and you were actually doing music. But like for me, I actually got to apply it every day and like apply my lessons and different things. And that's not so much. That meant I was doing it. I was taking my lessons and doing it in a real world sense. And you don't have to have a YouTube channel to do that. That's the beauty of it. Is you have time. You can try and do different things, or I don't know, find other students that you do like and try building something. I don't know. Go film short films every time, or hold a little art class, or go teach art at a old person home or something. Like, I don't know. Like, there's different things. You always got to be doing something, which is a stupid, annoying, toxic thing. But like in college, it's good to put that stuff into practice as you're doing it. Yeah. And I think that's what saved it for me.
I will say film school did definitely confirm to me within my first 2 years that, because I went to school hoping to focus on editing, post-production, specifically editing, not like special effects and stuff, editing, like narrative, like just like John does. So that, going to film school, I figured out, like, even though I shit on screenwriting earlier, by being exposed to stuff, it did kind of help me figure out, I do want to go into editing. It's just I happen to have this little side project of music that ended up changing the course of things. But
the course of history.
The course of history. But
then talking about like my business side of like the business students, I got along with so much better, and just people I got along with, and they weren't fucking irritating. And it all has to come down to ego. Like, people going to film business school are just kind of going there to just learn and then go out in the world and make money, but in like film school, it's all ego, and it's all like a weird highbrow artistic side of it. And it's like, we are college students and we are going to film, like, and like there are so many people, and the way that like people would talk about it, you would, like, my first few times when I would see a new face and the way they talked and carried themselves, I'd be so intimidated. I was like, oh my God, they're like the real deal, they're legit or something. And they would just kind of be a douche and unapproachable and standoffish. And then like as the year goes on, or you saw more of their stuff, it's like, they're just like me. Yeah. Maybe I might even be a little bit better. Yeah. But it's just like, it's like, anyway, so the ego was so annoying. And then people would always talk shit about other people's projects and different things. And there was like a weird LARPing of like being a producer, like during the thesis films, or like, oh yes, Janie's film, even though like it's 5 other people on it, like, and then I don't know, it like
there's so I'm just getting like
they call, like, I don't know, like you call like there's a Tarantino film, you know what that means, but people would be like, insert fellow student's name, stuff like that,
an Ames film.
It's like
I remember stuff like that happening where like kids were just, and yes, they were kids, because we were kids.
It's just
we
kids,
were children.
We're
kids, even at 22 when I graduated, I was a kid. Like trying, LARPing is a good way to put it. LARPing is, as Francis Ford Coppola, or the next big director, which the way we talk about it now, it's like, it's like almost cute looking back, but I remember how fucking annoying those kids were.
Well, I think it's debilitatingly annoying and ruined my morale.
Yeah.
So I'm not even just being petty, shitting on like excited, misguided artistic youths. It's just it weighed down on me. Like, this is bullshit. This is annoying. Yeah. And so like,
no, it absolutely,
that's why it's being brought up.
Damaged my ego as well. Which
not even ego. It's just my patience. It like accelerated jadedness. Different things like that. Yeah. Maybe bitter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe damaged ego isn't the right way to put it, but yeah, definitely made me feel a little bit like just the attitude, because there really is this culture of personality and ego and having the best accolades, and it's fucking annoying.
Yeah,
but
reliving those best years,
good times.
I mean, no one was ever out like a bully, and like, when there was a bad film or something, like even those like students I would call out as like being intimidating, like they still like tried, and like they tried earnestly and well, like with critiques, and like they weren't mean when it mattered. But it was just like, I don't know, and I could have just been better, but it was me in that scenario rather than the scenario being driving me. But I don't know. I think it tried my patience, and I'm a pretty patient guy. And, I think it combined with maybe the staff, and like, what am I doing? Am I just biding my time for like the one class that actually feels valuable? And it's like, I don't know. In the end, I think the biggest failure of a lot of education is that it's not training. you know, because that's all it really is. And I think there is a general education and flexing and massaging and working out the brain that, I mean, I'm not even an education person, so maybe like fuck me. But like, I think it gets to a point in the later point of the education, you know, late high school, college, where it's not treated like like it's this weird academia, and like it's academia is a lot of it, and it's like
or creative artistic, like
creative artistic academia, just another twist on the bullshit of that.
And
it's like what we aren't here for the sake of learning. We're here for the sake of like job training and learning, or it can be both. And I think that's the biggest failure of a lot of schools. And there's schools that do it great too, that like but I just don't have that experience. But like the liberal arts school of UNCW, you know, is caught up in a lot of the academia, which I'm sure is no exception to that school, nationally speaking. And don't get me wrong, I love going there. I definitely recommend it. It's on the beach, awesome contained campus, tons of like awesome amenities and student life stuff. And this is probably just stuff you're going to run into in a lot of schools. Also very affordable. I think it was like $3,000 a semester for me.
Damn, that's
like,
pretty awesome.
That's why North Carolina rocks. Yep. I'm sure it's a little bit more. Probably now it'd be $6,000 a semester. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't want to be so negative, but and I'm trying to be like, am I being negative on the light of today? But it's like, why would I be so negative today? Like, unless I really felt like it maybe genuinely was like kind of stupid.
Yeah, no,
I wasn't like going
too.
through hell going through college. Like I had fun. I had a good time. Like those are good years of my life either too. So I don't want to. I don't know. I don't know what there are. I mean, our thesis is maybe it's not necessary. Maybe there's better ways of doing it, which I think is true of a lot of things.
I mean, I guess case in point is that if neither of us had gone to film school and had just, because we started our YouTube channel a little before we both went to college, if we had just dedicated full time to the channel, I mean, it would have taken off bigger and faster. And then you get into the whole argument of, oh, hindsight's 2020, what if, which you shouldn't do. But the point there being, we didn't need to go to school for what we do now. Certainly we learned some things along the way, especially you going to business school.
I look back and the stuff, I mean, I'm glad I went to school. Like, I don't think I could have, things with the business wouldn't have happened if I didn't go to school. That's for sure, 100%. So that's because of the business school. I'm trying to rack my brain for film school, but it's like, you know, I tried different things. I was exposed to like the classic, like, oh, that's why this feature on this editing software is here. You know, that's what it was meant. But I've been using it this way and it worked. I don't know. Like I'm just like nothing really. Nothing was super necessary.
Yeah.
And then here we are today with this set and working on music videos, and like that's helped. You know, so some of the set stuff helps and knowing how the gear works. But I also learned a lot about the gear working as an intern in a rental house and like touching these things every day and repairing them and then you know, just different stuff like that. Like that supplemented my education so much, almost maybe that my education supplemented my internship.
Here's another thing why I think film school, creative arts school can be predatory, not always can be predatory, is that you guys know this, like you're either good at drawing or you're not. You can't be taught to be a good drawer. You can't. You can definitely get a little better, but like it's the same with singing. If you can't carry a tune, you can take millions of dollars worth of vocal lessons. You will never learn how to carry a tune. You are just tone deaf. That's how some people are. So art schools kind of prey on this idea that you can become the next big opera singer or musician or artist if you get enough education, whereas I do think most people, you know, deep down, you're either artistic or not. You can either paint or you can't. You can certainly improve, you can modify, but you've either got it or you don't. I'm sure people can make arguments and disagree with me on that, but I firmly believe that like you've either got that X factor with it or you don't.
And then what you said about the big fish in a little pond is there's almost like an entitlement, or like it's just going through the motions, like, oh, I was fucking sick at my high school, I'm fucking sick, but it's like, no, you're fucking sick for your high school, that pool of kids who aren't all interested in that thing. Then when you're but not even before you get to the film school, but like just going in, like, all right, I'm just gonna go through the motions. I got it, I get it,
I got this. Everybody tells me I'm the most talented,
and there is so much entitlement. There was like a lot of laziness, and that same internship with the rental house, I just went there and did the things they showed me to do. Swept the floor when I needed. Like, I always did something. I was only 4 hours there, 4 hours twice a week, and they would always glow at me like how I'm the best. Like, they've had interns for 15, 20 years at that point, and they're like, "Oh, you're the best intern we've ever had." And like, I was also like quiet and like didn't interact with them. Like, I'm sure they had interns they liked better, you know, and different like. But it's like, wait, I'm doing what I think is bare minimum, and I think it was bare minimum. Just keeping busy, figuring out something to do, not like being like lackadaisical. And like that to me was a huge revelation and validation of like my skepticism of my fellow students. It's like, oh my God, what do they do when they come here? Yeah. And like it like almost horrified me in a sense, and then you kind of see it echo through, and it's like once you see it or it's like validated, then you look around like, oh my God. Dude, and I think that's not so much a film student thing. I think that's just people going to school, but I don't know. But again, like, I feel like I don't think it's weird to think that was a particular population thing. Like, the film students at this internship, I'm just doing what I feel like is a bare minimum, and I was getting glowing results or glowing reviews. It was just like, okay, this is weird.
Dude, that's funny, because that reminds me of one time, kind of the opposite happened to me. There was I can't remember what the group was called, but it was some film group that was gonna do a television show or something exclusive. This kind of elite group that was gonna do a TV show, something. I remember there were like auditions. It was weird, but it was just to get on the. Anyways, what we did is we went to this thing, and everybody was working on different parts, and they were gonna choose certain people to be on this set to make this thing. And I remember feeling really good, like I got along with the people and everything, and like at one point the guy even like gave me props for coiling an XLR correctly, because most people even in film school don't do that. There's an easy but particular way to do it. And I remember thinking that went so well, I'm totally going to get in. And they ended up, it was like this group of friends ended up choosing, which, hey, I can't really blame them, because I would have done the same thing. You stick with your group of friends, but it did feel kind of unfair that, like, fuck, I felt like I should be in this group. I feel qualified. I feel like I actually have the self-worth to do it. And then they ended up going with their friends, which, again, I don't really blame them specifically as much as, I guess, the institution. But moments like that, of which, hey, that has, I guess, the thesis I could come up with to rebut myself right now is that's life, and life's not fair. But, yeah.
I think, pretty bitter about the film school thing. I'm like, but nothing happened to us,
Yeah,
like,
no.
But I don't know what it is, and I'm not even sure what it is. Maybe you can extrapolate what we're saying.
That we did it on our own.
Yeah.
Look at us now, dude.
Well, he's spinning around for audio listeners, but I think when we started doing the music videos and being on set and working with creatives and some people who had gone to my film school and different things like that, that was so much fun, and it felt like going home in a sense too. So it's like I don't know, but also it's like we're dealing with people who have grown up, people who know who they are. They know. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Dude, it's funny. Our cinematographer straight up said to us the other week, he was just like, we were joking about, we almost ended up going to the same film school, but I was like, oh yeah, we would have been buddies. And he straight up said like, I was kind of a cock in film school. I don't think you would have liked me. And I was like, oh, okay. But hey, at least he's aware of that.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to make a joke at one point. If any of my like cohorts who went to college with me ever happened to listen to this, I'm sure they would just be like, especially when I'm talking shit about film school, they'd be like, what the fuck is he? That dude, he was the guy who never fucking spoke and always sat in the back of the class. No wonder that dude, like, so I know that they would say that, like, oh, and his films fucking sucked too. Like, yeah, fuck this guy. So I concede that. But it was just funny when Alex said that like, oh, you might not have liked me in film school. But hey, as I said, we were kids back then. Everybody's figuring themselves out, and
I think that just a lot of angst and stuff. Because again, like, slightly older on a set with a lot of people to cross over, like a lot of the similar type people cross over. It's like, all right, this is fun. They're like. There's one guy maybe I thought was kind of a douche, and like, he's fine, cool. Like, it changes, and it's like, and for the record, like 95, 99% of the people we work on our music videos things are fucking awesome people.
Yeah.
So if everyone happens to listen to this, don't misconstrue any of this. Because I need to give that disclaimer because we're being very negative. But the music videos have been a lot of fun. It kind of is like, okay, it's like it's always a little validation of going to film school. It's like, again, it's like, okay, cool, I'm on set. This feels right. This is like what I went to school for.
This is what I did. I did it, Mom.
Yeah. Like, oh, I'm doing the thing I went to school for.
I actually went to school for, yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun. We've done, I guess, like I said, 25 plus. Learned a lot of things along the way on what works for us. And, as we have a studio here, like, having this part of this and knowing all these different things is from those 25 music videos where we learned a lot, as talent or producers, as well, and like getting different equipment and just seeing all the different things that are being used. It's really cool. Like these lights that we have, the camera. This handy recorder thing is what I used to mix sound on my senior thesis, and I was like, dang, that's good. And bringing it into now, but it's been a lot of fun. And I don't know if you have anything to add about music videos, or we can try and rack our brains for funny memories or like weird extras or some stuff like that.
It's so much fun, and it's cool, obviously, because these are our music videos, so it's our project. So there have been a couple times where I think back and think, because I would only ever pretty much work on other people's projects in college. I didn't really, because as I've said, I wasn't assertive or like didn't put myself out there that much, which I regret. So working on our music videos, a couple times it's made me think, damn, Christian, I wish you had been a little more like proactive or put yourself out there a little more. Another thing I wanted to tack on, specifically, if you're going to film school, you better be outgoing. If you're introverted, you better be the most talented motherfucker in your film program. Because if you are not outgoing, good luck.
Yeah, that was
good luck. You need to put your foot indoors. Put both feet indoors and your dick in another one and your knee in another door. Put your foot and dick and balls in as many doors as you can. And you heard that from me.
Like as we talk about this as our fellow classmates, like they were getting in there, at least the ones that were getting in there were getting in there. Yeah. There was also the quiet ones.
A dick and a ball and a butt cheek in a door.
There was the lazy ones. There was the quiet ones. I fell in somewhere in the quiet. But I don't know. I don't know how different it would be if I wasn't actually having something I could apply things to every day. I don't know where I would have fallen. I think I would have figured something out in terms of like, I don't know. Yeah. But I again, maybe JT Music made my film school experience worse because I was distracted by something I was growing and figuring and learning from too. Yeah. Like maybe it's because I had something I was like, had my own education, and then this other form of education was like my education, like School of Hard Knocks, or whatever, like doing it. I'm getting more from it, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. And then, when the business came, it's like, oh, this is how I do business now. So then I can apply, I don't know. But,
learning.
Yeah.
Learning. Formative years. You're just hearing two brains outwardly, out loudly think about all of their some of the most important developmental years of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of of course, now that my brain's for I don't know, like music videos stuff, like anything like weird, like
I'll tell you,
things like, oh, did you actually know at this part of this music video, like something crazy I'm trying to think of something
like trivia stuff. I'll tell you something I hated about film school.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I was talking about the music videos, but
music videos. I'm just going off film school stuff. Another thing I hated, and I don't know if this is still a thing, but for our thesis films, we had to budget our own films, which is kind of sucks going to a very expensive private school. Still having, I understand they're not going to give you a $10,000 budget to make your film. I get that, but we had to fund our own films, and we had to do Kickstarters and stuff, and those were the most just what's the word I'm looking for? Just strip you of all your dignity and go on Kickstarter and beg people for money for a film they most certainly don't give a flying fuck about. And if you were just one of the only thing worse than being a pathetic, desperate Kickstarter asking for money for your student thesis film that nobody wants to give you money is being one of those and being an absolute cock about it and acting like you're the best person. I'm not going to post a link, but it still exists, one from my program, and it's the most pompous. And some of the people I actually like, too, who are
the All-Star one. It was like
it was the All-Star thesis film, and it is so pompous and arrogant. And I know that all the people in that have grown up since then and have, aren't bad people, but the way they present themselves in that Kickstarter. So my point being, I hated that part, is begging for money on like Kickstarter. And if you don't have like rich parents who can just throw money at it, you're gonna have to do that.
It's such a weird conduit, because it's like all that, like the people like, and for films like student films, it's all private funding. Essentially, it's just public, and it's a weird exercise, because it's like random person from Kansas City isn't going to be perusing Kickstarter and look at student films like, oh, I like what I see here, so I can watch this 15-minute film maybe in 6 months, or I have to go to a fucking film festival in upstate New York to even see. Like, it just it doesn't make sense. So it's like, maybe instead of that, like, teach like kind of like how to get funding and like how to like approach people, even if it's your grandmother or like whatever, I think is a better. It's just, to me, like as you were talking about, I'm like, yeah, but it was just the friends and family all the time.
Oh, dude, because
so it's like I feel like there's more of a life lesson of soliciting funds and stuff like that in film. Like I think it's, I don't know, like,
dude,
it is a skill to learn instead of making a website, putting on your Facebook, and then they see it.
Yeah, it is a skill to learn. Yeah, because like, yeah, life is all about connections and stuff. And if you don't have that connection, here's a great case in point. We get contacted 10 years from now. We've got the biggest production company in the world, and we get contacted by this fan who wants to make this awesome film, and they've got this great script, and they want $50,000 for their budget, and it's really cool. But your nephew, John Anthony, is also going to film school, and he has a terrible script. We're just like, oh, John Anthony, you shouldn't be making this, and he wants $50,000. Who are we probably going to give that money to? The family, the friend. We're not going to give it to some rando. It's going to be who's got the connection to us.
Yeah.
That's just, for the most part, is how life works. But yeah, anyways, getting back to like, they don't really teach you how to like go about funding, or like they just say, hey, make a Kickstarter and beg, you peasant, you serf, you can't afford this. Oh, your parents aren't both dentists? Get on Kickstarter and beg to make your stupid short film about a writer who's getting writer's block, and he keeps looking at a clock, and it's so cliche and derivative, because every film in film school is derivative and shitty. Go do that.
Yeah, there was one where it was like about a guy that would go on dates or something, and a flower petal would fall off every time he went on a new date of this like magic flower, or
like his time was running out.
Yeah,
that's not the worst concept.
But it's like super contrived. It's like, I'm gonna think of something.
Yeah,
and that's what he like. We're being so shitty and jaded, but
dude, I do want to talk about here. Like, I want to talk about one of my favorite thesis film from my class. And what I loved about it is it didn't feel derivative. It felt like this guy just had this vision and wanted to make it. Wasn't really trying to do some grandiose thing. He just like had this specific vision and did it, and it didn't feel derivative, which I'm not necessarily, I am shitting on films in student films. My films were derivative as fuck, but like, what I loved about this particular film, I'll just give the basic premise. It was about like Lucifer was the main character working in heaven, which was an office building, and it was shot in black and white. And then Eden, it was pre the fall. I think that might have been the title of it, but I've looked for it online. It's not anywhere. So Michael, if you ever hear this, I loved your film. It was truly the best one, in my opinion. And so it just didn't feel derivative. It was really creative. It was like God was an asshole. He was Lucifer's boss. Jesus was God's son who got a high position in the office because of nepotism, and everybody hated Jesus, and he was this total pompous asshole. And like at one point, God made a joke like, "Dude, he said something like implying that the crucifixion would happen," which was super funny. It was very funny, but it also it was like a black comedy. And so at the end, so in the office space, it was shot in black and white, and Eden was in color. And so when the fall happened is Lucifer eventually gets fed up with God. He gets in an elevator and he presses a button, and the last shot is Lucifer taking off his glasses, and it's in black and white and slowly fades to color, and then you hear ding, and that was how it ended. That was the fall. That was Lucifer's fall. So the whole film and the way it was shot, that all the intricacies, it didn't feel like they were trying to be anything. I loved it so much, and I love sorry, I just kind of went off on that. I just thought it was such a cool, fun, creative short film, and like, I don't know, just like when you go to film school or whatever school, you're going to be learning all this stuff. You're going to get pumped full of information, which is good. That's why you go to school, is to get this information, but still try to stay true to what your personality is, what your visions are, what your creative personality is. Don't lose that in film school when you're going and learning all this stuff. And that film, he didn't lose it. He didn't lose it. And I just always have loved that. It stood out. And not because it was the best either. There was arguably better technically shot films, but that one felt like a piece of art to me. And that's all I'll say.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure too to like try and be extra different or unique, or finding that like creative hook to differentiate yourself from your fellow students. But it's like, maybe just tell your own story, and then it ends up differentiating itself, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a way to not sound like a bitter old man, but I have like so many more negative things in my like stupid things.
No, I know. There's a lot to complain about.
I don't know. There's one thing I always saw done in student films, and it was like living in shots really long, as if it like was an artistic move or decision, like some neo-realistic kind of thing, like oh yeah, we took an Italian neo-realistic class last semester. Oh, I'm going to implement Italian neo, which is kind of cool to like implement what you're learning into it. But it's like, and that's why it's all derivative. So like, yeah, that's also fair, but it's still like what is it motivated by? It's like motivated because you saw something cool you liked, and I like. But it's like there's never actually like an oomph behind it, or like a good reason or a why driving it. Yeah. And I think that's maybe part of it, is like, be honest, and then even if you're trying to pull things you liked, then like know why you're doing it, or try and find a creative why. Try to figure out why it's earned, why it's different. Understand pacing, so we don't just look at two guys looking at a cup on a table for 4 minutes.
If it's not advancing the story, then don't do it.
Yeah.
If it's not advancing the story in some way. I try to think that through songs, too. When I'm making a song, like, okay, this lyric needs to count towards something. Because, like, certainly, I still do this sometimes, where I'm just trying to finish a song, and I might just kind of be writing words with a buzzword in it, or just trying to name drop a character because of the nature of our content, making songs inspired by video games and IPs and stuff. So sometimes it might just be like a little filler line or something, but recently trying to like really make each line count towards whatever the song's thesis is. Same with the film. Try to make each shot count
especially
towards
when they're short
the story.
Films.
Yeah, especially in a short film. But you said something really great, which is that you're learning all this stuff and trying to incorporate it, so that's why student films are derivative, and that's a really good way to put it. Yeah. So like student films, because of that, are essentially always going to be derivative, but it is possible to not be derivative. Yeah. I mean, all art is derivative, but it is possible to still be unique, and I think you also said, how to do that too. Be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. Be true to what you want to make, what you want to see.
What's your favorite memory from the music videos we've done?
Favorite memory from the music videos. Talking about fun sets. Favorite memories.
I think
from the music.
Being on the Five Nights at Freddy's one the first time was fun again, just for the fact of like, oh man, feels like I'm supposed to be here. It's like some weird justification, or just like feels good to be back and see the things. Like, oh, there's a C-stand, and oh, there's a flag being held up and blocking out light, and like there's the flap things. I'm forgetting on the camera. So I'm blanking on the house. I don't blanking. I'm very tired. Anyways, it was cool to just be back on set. That collaborative kind of hands-on filmmaking was cool. And then like one of the only people I really found out became a friend was Patrick, who wasn't even in the film program. He was just an actor on something. Like working with him, like the familiarity there, that was fun. For me, one was the Hello Neighbor music video.
The first or the second?
The first one was supposed to be another guy, and he ditched like hours before. And I was like, I'll do it. You know, fuck it, I'll do it. And like it was, you know, being in front of camera, I'd done it a few points to that point, but it was like in ways that I could not have to act, you know, like wearing the Freddy costume or whatever. And so that was kind of being like the featured face on it, and like having to actually act was really interesting. And like you can see some of the bloopers too that are published on this channel. Like my facial expressions are so weird because I didn't know how to control my face.
That's, I guess,
but that was a lot of fun because I felt like I really conquered something and like put myself out there, and it worked out and took good direction, learned how to take direction, learned like, I mean, obviously I'm wearing glasses, you know, when I'm like this, it helps. Like I can see fairly well, but like I can't see the details of faces, people's eyes, the way they're maybe contorting their face. You know, not that people are gonna be making faces at me or judging me, but it helps kind of put up that wall. Yeah, and I can isolate enough, and so that like learning those different things and just like, oh, I can do this. You know, even Killer Hook, like acting, like I'd never have acted before. Obviously music videos, but like acting with dialogue and like remembering lines. I never did stage stuff past like elementary school shit, and so like kind of doing that was a weird thing to conquer and interesting. Yeah, and so that was fun too. Yeah, I don't know if you have anything you thought up of.
No, that I think that's also, it's a testament to you being willing to try it, and also Patrick being a good director is knowing how to direct somebody who doesn't have experience acting.
He said he likes directing me because I'm not big and theatrical. Yeah, because I'm still timid, but it's like with that I cannot dance, I cannot do any kind of like rhythmic movement because I am so stiff, but I can lean into that and have very subtle facial expressions or stuff like that. Yeah, and you can hear it. He has a very different way of directing each of us, which a good director should have a different way to direct every single actor they work with. It's and it's cool hearing him kind of, he knows what strings to pull on each of us, like how to get the reaction or the action he wants out of us, which, again, that's a good director. My favorite line of direction he ever gave is, Christian, come up to the fisheye lens and do some Christian shit. And he just went up there without a beat and just started doing weird things.
Just doing Christian shit, yeah. Well, when we did Joker, it's funny. Because he wanted me to be very, like almost, for when I would, in the Joker music video, if you haven't seen it, it is the Arthur Fleck Joker from the Joaquin Phoenix was kind of what we went with the direction for the video. So in the beginning, I was pre-Joker, so he was like trying to direct me like I was in pain. He was like, now, I remember he said at the beginning of the shoot, he was like, I know when we get to Joker, that's going to be easy. I'm going to have an easy time with you because you just get to be Christian, like magician eyes and everything. But for the first part, I want you to, you know, keep it in, and I was like, okay, that's just like another example of good direction and knowing your actor, knowing your content, and
that music video, I had like a polonial cyst inflammation.
Yeah, dude, your back was
and I was like,
fucked.
We were going up the elevator to the set, and I was like, I almost like passed out and like threw up at the same time, dude. And I was like, because I was like bleeding out of my tailbone essentially constantly of like this cyst and like fighting an infection, and like I tried to be on set, but I was like, I had to go home.
If you would have gone home at some point, you wouldn't have been able to.
Dusty and like moldy up there.
Yeah,
and
we shot in this old theater, which was so cool. Yeah, it was such a cool shot, or it's such a cool location.
Having an infection, maybe I shouldn't have been, and sweaty too.
You probably shouldn't have even shown up, but at least you tried. You tried. Yeah, I tried. You were gonna be there, and you weren't even gonna be in it. You were just there for like to be a producer and for moral support. But no, that was your back, your spine was not vibing with you that day.
That was. I kind of got that for a good chunk of the pandemic. Like when everything kind of everything soft opened was when that happened. And I remember playing Borderlands and just being in crazy pain and having to get like a special seat that took pressure off my tailbone, and just like it's gross. I could get into more detail, but I won't. But what obviously Red Dead was probably like one of the highlights.
That's what I was gonna say for my favorite. Going back to our favorite set we've been on for our stuff, I think it was probably Red Dead.
Yeah,
is like when we shot the field stuff, going out into that field
which I
where
wish
the
we did
fire
more
was.
of too.
I know. I wish we did more of it.
We put a lot of time in the dialogue scene in the church.
Yeah,
which is fine, but like in hindsight, it's like it should have just been a music video with cool shots, which is something we learned.
Yeah,
going on.
Which are my two favorite shoots is Red Dead, which was just an incredible, visually the most stunning video live action we've done, but what you just said, going to Predator, which was one of our first, because I think Mando, which I was not there for, was the first one where we tried a different style rather than trying to put so much narrative in our music videos. Just did more of like spectacle music video, which is how most music videos are. It's like cool shots of dancing and rapping and stuff like that.
Yeah, too much of a focus on narrative in some videos. But Red Dead, as cool as it was, how much fun of a time it was on set, too narrative focused. BioShock even.
Yeah.
An element of too much narrative, and like that's not on the crew. Like this is like something led by us, and then Patrick comes and facilitates that that vision, you know. But Mando was like starting to open up the kind of like element of like, oh shit, let's just film cool looking things
and just
like
together.
There's beats, like we're filming beats, not narrative anymore, which I like a lot more.
It's so much less time because, like, with narrative, you've got to make sure you have continuity. It all flows together. You hit all of the things.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's just, like, narrative beats,
it's
so much easier.
Yeah. And, like, I don't know, like, for example, and this is, like, way ahead of time, and we usually save this stuff for for Patreon podcast, but whatever. It's, like, an hour in, so if you're still here, you deserve it, I guess. But you definitely deserve to hear it. You're engaged. You're committed. Thank you. Is like the original concept of like the Payday video is like a different like rival gangs, and like they're like rising up and they're going through different things, like a drug hideout kind of raid, stealing drugs, and then they go to a bank robbery, and then the bank robbery gets foiled, and then like after like Mando and Predator, I was like, no, we're gonna reevaluate it, and I just wrote a list of cool shots, like us walking down a street in Payday mask with smoke grenades. Why? Red, white, and blue smoke grenades? Because it looks fucking cool.
Because it looks fucking cool.
And it's just a different list of like, okay, gunfight stuff that looks like heat.
Yeah.
Somewhat of narrative, like kind of stringing of things together, of course, but just like cool shit, different performances and different sets. Like maybe a cool dolly shot of like us entering a bank, you know, with guns and like attempting the robbery.
Video,
like,
that's just want it to look cool.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yes. I think for Red Dead, well, the horses just came from a Travis Scott shoot, which is cool. So if you know the Travis Scott music video with him riding the horse, I think the horse I rode is the horse Travis Scott rode. At least that's what I put together from what the horse wrangler was talking about.
Yeah.
Who was just is it Sam Elliott?
The Sam Elliott.
One of them guys.
Like,
yeah, he was just Sam Elliott.
He was straight up out of Tombstone.
Yeah.
His name was Sam Elliott. That guy was so cool. He oh, dude.
He made you feel so comfortable. He was so good at his job, and he was like controlling the horses with like clicking noises and like different commands from like off camera and riding with you. It was so cool.
The subtlety that he used to control a horse. He did, and dude, what I loved about that guy, he was like Sam Elliott in that. If you don't know who Sam Elliott is, just like big mustache, like alpha male to the max,
like
just
Marlboro
like
man,
macho. This is a man. This is what you know when conservatives are like, they don't make men like they used. This is what they used to make them like. This guy, but he wasn't a douche either. Like you said, he was super cool. He made me feel comfortable, even though I'm this like short, dorky dude who has no fucking idea what he's doing on a horse. He made me feel so comfortable. He was like, just like the most awkward thing for me is how you're supposed to always keep. You're never supposed to have your hand down by your side, or at least they say this for beginners. Like, because if you lose one of the reins, if you have a fidgety horse, that they'll take that as, oh, I have control now.
Shit.
So that's why you're supposed to keep one hand so that you can easily catch it if you drop it. So like little things like that he was helping me not be as awkward about. God, that guy was cool.
Yeah,
he made the set awesome to be on. But
I mean, there's so many stories I could bring up. I'm racking my brain.
Other cool set stories.
The we got ours was like a legit party. there was like a keg, and that was used in the video. You can see, and like all the extras and ourselves were just slamming beers.
Yep.
And so all that party stuff was just like,
it was a party.
It was just the song being blasted, and Patrick just like fucking go party and drinking, and it's just like kind of cool in like an authentic kind of way.
Yeah, because you always wonder if those party scenes in music videos are real parties. I bet they are sometimes.
Yeah, but we ruined that poor girl's house.
I saw some of the cleanup. It was getting there.
It was like crusty dirt and Cheetos because we had the Cheeto poof and so people were stepping on the Cheeto poofs. We destroyed the printer outside, and the like ink in the cartridge leaked out, and it was like very thick and like stained her stone path.
Didn't worry.
And
it got messy.
That's not to say like
it was like
we like the crew and ourselves try to take care of the place we're at, and like I think that's the worst I ever got, and that was just due to the nature of the content and like getting that. Yeah. So I don't want to make it sound like we're reckless. But like,
and I think Patrick had told her that what the deal was. So she was super sweet. She wasn't.
She's friends with a lot of the crew too, so it wasn't like a total rando. But with all that said, like from what I've done in music videos and seen and filmed, like everything always looks good. Like the cleanup, like they take pictures, they make everything look the same way it was, the way the owner left it.
And that's how a professional crew should operate.
Yeah, but I'll never let anything be filmed inside my house.
Yeah.
And it's like there's even an element of like filming in here, which is the point. I need to remind myself that. But it's like,
when we do Bendy.
Yeah, the ink and all that shit. It's like I'm laying out the world's biggest tarp, doing everything I can. Because even like
this is our home now. We own this place, so it's a home.
Yeah, and then Sea of Thieves, how we were doing the drink clanking, and the ground was just gross inside. And it was all cleaned up. But it's like, if it's in my space now, that's like,
you think about it in a different way.
Thinking about it being clean
you do.
now.
You totally do.
But nothing's ever being filmed in my residence. Even if it was my own production, like I had a short film I was doing, I would not be filming in my house.
No, dude.
With a crew.
Even if fucking Henry Cavill knocked on my door, was like, hello, we want to shoot Mission Impossible 18 here, and Tom Cruise is standing timidly behind him because we know on a little box, like like Tom Cruise, because we all know Tom Cruise is really timid, and they're both staring at me. Hopefully I'm still gonna be like, sorry guys, like if you want to come in and hang out, totally fine, but you're not using my house to shoot in. I remember dude,
good story. I got a good story.
Go for it. Do it.
Like a funny on set stories for Luigi's Mansion. We're in like this old downtown house, like that has that old turn of the century mansion look that we wanted, obviously. And I'm dressed up as Luigi again. Obviously,
the world's most famous plumber,
second most famous
plumber.
And I go to the bathroom. Number one, just pee, flush the toilet, and it's old plumbing. So it's like that's why it happened. But I had to specify I didn't drop a huge turd because I had to save face somehow. It also adds to the ridiculousness of the situation.
You clog the toilet by peeing.
Yeah, and the toilet just starts spouting up water and overflowing and then just flooding this bathroom. And I'm standing there like, what the fuck? This is the worst. So like, what is it? I don't know what to do. And I'm dressed as like Luigi as this toilet's overflowing in front of me.
It was too good. It was too good. It was too perfect. It was like it's God.
Classic comedy.
It was like and how flustered you were. You're like, oh, dude. It was like God came down and was like, Christian, do you want to laugh right now? We're gonna make your friend go through some pain just so you can. And to preface that, you forgot to preface it. What had happened right before, or was it?
That was right after. Then like 4 days later,
so
we went to a steakhouse in downtown Raleigh.
My favorite steakhouse in Raleigh, Sullivan's, best steak you'll ever have.
And I used the urinal, obviously peed. Flush the urinal, walk away, wash my hands, and I just start hearing a waterfall noise. And look over, and the urinal's just like spewing water.
This is how much it was spewing. I had to go to the bathroom after him, so I went into the bathroom, and my first thought was, this is a classy bathroom, because at first glance, it looked like a fountain was going off in the center of the bathroom. Yeah. Imagine walking into a bathroom, and there's a fucking fountain in the middle. There was so much water shooting out of this like urinal that at first glance it looked like there might have been a fountain in this bathroom. So for the first half a millisecond, my brain was like, oh, classy bathroom, because I had never been in that bathroom before, or it had been a while. It looked like a fountain was going off. Yeah. How fucking funny that within a week of each other, both those things happened. But the funniest was just when you were in the Luigi costume with this toilet overflowing.
So for to know the happy ending or ending, if you will, for Luigi, it stopped enough where I could have paper toweled, cleaned it up.
What a good man.
Took care of it, and then for the restaurant, I told the waiters, the first waiter I saw right out of the bathroom.
Yeah. Oh, so funny though.
But it's like a urinal. What?
Why? I didn't even. Also, I peed both times.
Yeah,
like
both times.
It makes it
too.
so much funnier that it was just pee. Like you didn't
Yeah.
actually clog the toilet. Makes it so much funnier.
Oh, something I wanted to say is like Red Dead, like this super big production, like on set, got horses and horse wranglers, flew out our whole team, had 40 extras, like all this fucking stuff, pulling out the stops. In some ways unprecedented in like the nerdcore space. And then this one comment said, it was cool, but you guys should have had a train robbery. And that to me was like,
it
was like speechless. And obviously they were probably younger. They had no idea what it went into it.
We still
or
joke
it just
about
impressed
this
them that much because it should have had it, I guess, because it looked so good. But it blew my mind.
Because it exposes the ignorance of what some people think goes into a production.
Yeah.
They think it just kind of happens. Like, oh, we could have just added a train robbery. No, that definitely wouldn't have cost like hundreds of thousands of dollars to do a train
tripled the
heist.
budget.
Yeah.
For what?
If we were lucky, it would triple the budget. Probably like tenfold the budget just to have a short train heist.
Yeah.
But yeah, we still joke about that comment that like, hey, why didn't you guys just do that?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just have an entire galactic spaceship battle in your Halo rap? I don't know.
I think it'd be interesting for everyone to be on set, or at least set adjacent, or see what goes into it, because it's like, it's not as glorious as you'd think. And again, the one thing I always say is you realize how little the actors do, which is an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, this movie's got so and so, and you're like, yeah, they worked so hard. They're there, and they did. They put the hours in, but like they also go sat in their trailer for the 3 hours the shot is set up, and they also had nothing to do with the costuming, the art, the production design, all the building of that stuff. Then the 3 hour prep, like the countless hours in the production design, building, prop set, all that stuff, and then the countless hours on set, and then the planning, the logistics, lighting it, like everything. And it's like actors don't do shit. They sell movies, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's just like
they don't
do
so
anything.
much more credit than is deserved sometimes. Like obviously some actors just have that X factor that's like they can bring anyone to a movie. But yeah, there's so much more to it than just the acting performance.
Yeah.
The set design, like we are always pumping the tires of our set or of our crew that we work with, because they go above and beyond for everything, which is like this actually is perfect. Brings me back to like one of my favorite shoots to be on in recent memory was Predator, because it was my first live action being back after having gone through rehab twice in 1 year, and just kind of having almost a rebirth for myself, like a new mindset, ready to get back into music full force and everything. And I've always loved the crew we work with, and I've always appreciated them, but there was a different level of appreciation that I had after that shoot. So really, like, being in a fully clear head for the first time in years, and being able to see how hard they were all working and how passionate they were. Because you can tell when you see the guys working on our lights, the camera crew, the set design, armorer, when you see them on our set, they're doing it because they love the project. It's their job, but you can also see that they're having, because what we do is cool. It's fun. We have fun, cool IPs and stories in our music videos. But still, that being said, I could see the blood, sweat, and tears that our crew pour into it, and knowing, like, for me, the blood, sweat, and tears I pour into my music, seeing that, and again, just like my first music video back sober, having a new mindset, some new clarity, it just like, it gave me this newfound appreciation for everybody working on our set, which I loved. So I just wanted to say that at one point. But what was I going to add to that? There's something about that shoot. Maybe not. Anyways, what were you going to say?
I don't know. I blanked out. I was like holding on something to think about or to say, and then I like thought about not forgetting it, and then I forgot it because I thought about not forgetting it. I hate when that happens. When you think about not forgetting, but then you're too focused on not forgetting.
But
it's been like, I don't know how the film school relates to our experiences on these film sets, but it's been a lot of fun. You know, we wouldn't have made these music videos if it wasn't for the connection of me going to film school and then being on a thesis with Patrick and like, you know, but that's like, there's like the butterfly effect of so many things. Like if, you know, there's so many things that can come from like that experience of school and connections and whatever.
Yeah.
And the lessons you learn, the way you grow up too.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing is like I can sit here all day and tell you guys, hey, if you're going to film school, just put yourself out there. And hopefully somebody out there, you know, my hope is that somebody out there is going to film school and they hear that and they do that and then they have a more successful film career. That's why I say that. But
it'd be anything though too.
It could be anything. And the unfortunate part is that even though we can sit here and give our advice, you also just said it. Like you do have to go through it and learn it yourself. So, but hopefully we gave you some grains of salt that will make the dish of life that much more savory. Wow. That's going to be on the cover of my memoir. I've got some grains of salt to make the dish of life taste a little better.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so fucking awesome. Hell yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, well, thanks for listening to two bitter, not quite old men talk about college.
Fuck film school.
I'm trying to think of like the juxtaposition here of like, fuck film, but we had a really fun time in school, but also fuck it. Oh, I had really fun doing music videos, which I went to films like.
I don't think we have to close it with a thesis.
Oh, no, I don't think we have to close. I'm just like thinking of like the experience listening is like, I don't know where they stand.
Yeah.
It seems pretty obvious, and it's because I know where I stand, but I also don't know where I stand. Like, I don't know what my thesis is here.
Yeah, me neither.
But it was fun to talk about, and obviously came easy to us, whatever it was, whatever the emotional pull is. Like, we fucking breezed through an hour and 15 minutes, you know?
We talked about a lot of our film school memories of, like, bad things that happened and annoying things that happened. But we'll definitely talk more about film school on this podcast. It'll come up.
Yeah.
But, yeah, my thesis, my takeaway is when you go to college, you're paying a lot to go there, even if you're going in-state, and it's still money. So just make the most of it.
Yeah. Don't waste your parents' money. Don't put yourself in unnecessary debt. Like, try to make that worthwhile. Make your time worthwhile with you.
And you're not pigeonholed in whatever you go to film school or whatever you go to school for. You are not stuck in that forever. You can always change it. And
Well, on that,
we love you guys.
Later. Bye.